Here is the English translation, with AI assistance, of the article, Saving Private Ryan, by the author Trong Hu Hien. Saving Private Ryan. Last weekend, I watched the movie, Saving Private Ryan, again on HBO. It's a film starring Tom Hanks that I've watched countless times. Yet, every time I watch it, I'm completely engrossed in the story from beginning to end, even though I know every little detail and every suspenseful moment by heart. Saving Private Ryan is one of the greatest war films of all time. It won 5 Oscars, including Best Director. The film is recognized for inspiring many subsequent war films. The movie is set during World War II and directed by Steven Spielberg. The story is based on a true event. In the final days of the war, Captain John H. Miller, played by Tom Hanks, leads a squad of Rangers trying to find a soldier named James Francis Ryan. He belongs to a paratrooper unit trapped in enemy-occupied territory. The reason they must save Ryan at all costs is that his family had 4 sons who went to war, and now 3 older brothers have been killed. Ryan is the youngest, the only remaining child in the family. In that situation, the U.S. leadership issued an order to save Ryan and bring him back to his mother at any cost. At the end of the film, after a fierce battle in the city, the Ranger Squad completes their mission. But they also suffer heavy losses, including the sacrifice of Captain Miller. After the war ends, every Memorial Day, Private Ryan, now an old man, visits the cemetery to lay a wreath on the grave of the talented officer who saved his life. The film is praised by viewers for its elaborate staging, especially the scene where Allied soldiers land on the Normandy beach. The entrenched German troops rain down gunfire on the beach, and wave after wave of landing soldiers fall. It's terrifying. The scenes in the movie look real, and the acting of each actor is excellent. A classic war film worth watching. But besides the artistic value of a cinematic work that won 5 Oscars, the value of Saving Private Ryan also lies in the moral message it wants to send to us. Saving Private Ryan speaks of humanity in a democratic system, society's concern for each individual and each family unit in all circumstances. A society that takes people as its root and its ultimate goal. Ryan needs to survive to return to his family. A mother's heart needs to be protected from further suffering. I have watched this movie countless times. But every time the scene comes where Ryan's mother sees a car stop in front of her house, and a few serious-looking officers get out, she knows what has come for her. She silently sits down on the porch steps. She waits with a faint hope that they are not there to deliver news that another one of her children will never return. Every time this scene comes, I can't bear it and quickly turn away. I don't dare look directly at the extreme pain of a mother in that tragic situation. War brings death and injury to the soldiers who participate, that's for sure. But their loved ones, their wives, their mothers, suffer even more. Because they are both victims and witnesses bearing a pain that lasts who knows how long. Movies are condensed novels, so their content is mostly fictional. However, they still reflect the fundamental spirit of a nation within a certain context. Saving Private Ryan, for example, shows us that the value of the United States lies in the spirit of humanity. A noble spirit that includes respect for human values, human rights, and promotes compassion and kindness. Besides World War I and II, American soldiers also participated in another bloody war in history, the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865. A war with about 750,000 soldiers killed on both sides and an undetermined number of civilian casualties. A war fought just to resolve conflicting debates in the U.S. Constitution, which was the issue of black slaves and the Declaration of Freedom. All men are created equal. The American Civil War is often remembered through the balanced, bloody battles led by 2 generals, Robert E. Lee of the South and Ulysses S. Grant of the North. General Lee attacked many times and inflicted quite heavy losses on General Grant's army. But near the end of the war, the Northern Army became overwhelmingly stronger thanks to a larger budget and additional forces recruited from newly freed black slaves. Many Southern generals wanted to retreat to fortify and wage a long guerrilla war. But General Lee, not wanting to see the country become increasingly decadent and the blood of soldiers on both sides continue to be shed, finally agreed to surrender. There is a famous anecdote. On the appointed day, in the room where the surrender ceremony took place, the two generals from the North and South sat intimately chatting about their military memories. The conversation went on so long that General Lee became impatient and mentioned that, "The purpose of our meeting today is to discuss the surrender." General Grant then took a pencil and paper, quickly wrote down the terms after the cessation of hostilities, and handed them to General Lee. The content General Grant wrote was as follows. 1. Southern soldiers are not considered traitors and do not have to go to prison. 2. The government considers Southern soldiers ordinary citizens if they abide by the law. 3. Southern soldiers are allowed to bring horses and mules home to help their families with spring plowing. 4. And they have the right to keep personal weapons to protect their families. After reviewing what General Grant had just written, General Lee said, "These things will have a good impact on my soldiers. They will make an important contribution to our national reconciliation." When the news of the Confederate surrender reached the camp, the Northern Army planned to fire cannons in celebration. General Grant ordered an immediate stop. He told his officers, "The war is over. Now they are our compatriots." He believed that the two sides were no longer enemies, and the best way for the North to express joy was not to rejoice in the South's defeat. War is to resolve existing conflicts, not for the purpose of killing, humiliating, and tormenting people. The American Civil War ended without brutal collective revenge and without imprisonment for the losers. The whole country was united again, focusing its efforts on developing the nation to become increasingly powerful, forming the prosperous United States of America as it is today. A long time ago, I received a photo of a French professor who taught at Lycée Blaise Pascal in Da Nang in the early 1970s. He was also a journalist. The photo was taken on Dock Lap Street, Da Nang, at 8 a.m. on Sunday, January 28, 1973, the day after the Paris Peace Accords were signed. The photo shows everyone standing still as they listen to the siren and the national anthem signaling the moment the gunfire ceased throughout Vietnam. A solemn atmosphere prevailed, with joy shining on the faces present. They must have been thinking about the prospect of peace truly coming to the country. A historically optimistic moment. But then it wasn't so. The war continued with increasing ferocity. Blood continued to be shed, and people continued to die, until the historic day of April 30, 1975. The days and months that followed, as we know, need not be repeated. Thinking about the message the war film Saving Private Ryan wants to convey, and about the way the Americans resolved the end of their Civil War, we feel bitter about what happened after April 30, 1975, in our own country. It's a pity for a time that should have been for healing wounds and soothing losses. The opportunity for a nation to rise up after a long period of being mired in war was missed. The spirit of solidarity, the vital energy needed for a nation, was eroded. So we were always in a weak position and lost so much land and sea to the Northern brothers. If the lips are exposed, the teeth will be cold. History never has the word, if, to revise itself. And only we ourselves can create our historical future.